Well, good morning, folks. It's the real Captain Kirk here. It is the 31st of August. Hard to believe, but that is the official end to meteorological summer here. Good news is we still have a few more weeks according to the sun. Looking real quick at this last week summary here. Now, this is a year-over-year trend, so this is looking at last week, 23 through 29 August, and how the world trends compared to the same period a year ago. It's how our big retail clients like to look at it. So in the U.S., really warm, 4.8 degrees warmer than last year, number one warmest in 35 years. So a very, very warm end to the last week of the retail August. Looking at Europe, again, a bit cooler, 3.1 degrees cooler than last year, a little bit cooler in Australia, Canada a little bit warmer. So again, these are just some of the trends versus last year, and the map inset left is trends versus average. Obviously, the big event last week was Cat 4 Hurricane Laura, second strongest hurricane to hit Louisiana in 169 years of records. Unfortunately, it went right over Lake Charles, Louisiana. Estimates are around 8 to 12 billion in damages. Sadly, 10 deaths here in the U.S. The good news is that the only real major oil-producing area that was impacted was around Lake Charles, number 7 on the list. All the ones to the west of the eye, in Port Arthur and Beaumont and obviously Houston, had to shut down for a bit, but had virtually no damage. So again, it always speaks to being that right front quadrant is always catastrophic, and unfortunately that was the case for Lake Charles, which is, I think, the Citgo and Phillips 66 type plants where they refine oil. So they're expecting to be down for weeks in that area. Looking at the tropical development areas here over the next 5 days or so, at least. Again, two systems probably not going to impact the U.S., but the next on the list would be Nana and Omar, and then we've got a couple systems coming off Africa. Those typically take anywhere from 10 to 14 days to reach the U.S. if they get this far. But those are the systems to watch here. So again, the peak of the hurricane season here is typically September 10th, so a lot of things to watch. Looking at spring, summer rainfall here to date, again, driest in 8 years nationally. We now have 58% of the country in dry to drought phases. Last year, this time, we only had 26%. So map left here is rainfall, spring, summer rainfall versus average. Again, well below average out in the western half of the country and pockets of wetter than average here in the southeast. Map right is just rainfall total. So those purples are upwards of 30 inches. In some cases, that's actually below normal for some areas, but again, much less as you go toward the west. Looking at this week, first part of September here, a little bit cooler, 0.6 degrees cooler than last year, coolest in 3 years. Still 12th warmest in 35 years for the nation as a whole. Again, a lot of that's due to the extreme heat in the western half of the country. Wetter than last year, 11th wettest in 35 years. So again, above average rainfall, and hopefully they get some of that in Texas where it's starting to been dry out here. The other event here this week is going to be Wednesday, is the full corn moon. Again, full moon on the 2nd of September, around 1:22 in the morning. Looking at Labor Day weekend here, this is just the Friday through Monday time frame. Again, not too bad. Actually, you can see that cooling trend expands a bit in the east. So coolest in 3 years for the Labor Day weekend, 18th coolest in 35 years. So near average for the nation as a whole. But again, very, very hot west and cool, very cool in the central U.S. Wetter than last year, but still 15th driest, so below average national precip. Again, any of the wet spots are probably going to be down in Texas and parts of the southeast. Looking at the next week here, 7th through 13th September, you see that colder weather expands in the central and eastern part of the country. So about 5.9 degrees colder than last year, coolest in 34 years. So we'll see about that. But dichotomy of the country here, very hot west and very cold east. Wetter than last year, 4th wettest in 35 years. We'll have to watch the East Coast here. Again, this is the timing for watching tropical systems as they would approach the East Coast. But again, that's the area that's going to be the wettest here as we go into that second week of September. Looking at the 2-week world trends here, 31 August through 13 September. Again, cool eastern, central U.S., right along the East Coast here, warmer than average. But again, remains very hot in the west. Europe warms up a tad, more seasonal, slightly cool there in the UK. But again, a bit warmer than they've been as of late. Looking at these trends all the way through fall, so this is just showing you the year-over-year trends for the U.S. As an aggregate. So August was kind of up and down, a little bit cooler than last year early on, and then this last week was just very, very hot, obviously hottest in 35 years, so a very hot week here to end August. September looks to trend quite a bit cooler. We look at, most days are trending cooler than last year. Again, obviously last year was a very hot September, so cooler. Not to say that it's not necessarily going to be above average when all is said and done, but just cooler than last year. So this helps some seasonal categories. And then as we get into the October-November timeframe, we expect very, very, very warm conditions, warm and dry conditions, much warmer than last year and much less snowy than last year until we get out to maybe that Thanksgiving time frame. So again, a warmer trend for the fall for sure is kind of our thinking here. So with that, folks, we hope you have a great week, and we will be back here this time next week.